What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports NBA Hardwood Show. I'm your host, Mangone. I'm back with two of my buddies. We're going to kick it off, bat and lead off. We're going to go with Big T. Big T, how's it going over there, my man? How is your NBA day and Tuesday?
I'm excited. I did the playbook for the first time today, and I get my man JT on. I haven't seen him since baseball. Sent him a message yesterday, said we got to get him on some shows. I mean, it gets old looking at titles ugly ass 2 or 3 times a week. We got to bring in a bald dude that actually looks good. I'm shipping all the tournaments in NBA. How could I not be in a good mood? And I got rid of Hoop. I got rid of both the dead weight today. I get you, Mangone, and now the freaking bald giblet maker, JT. It's a great day. It's a great day to be alive.
Yeah, and there's a reason why you are batting first, Big T. We got JT batting second. He's just been the heavy hitter lately. He's been crushing it. 130K the other day, then this today. What did you win? Like you won I don't know, 7K yesterday. You had a good little day. What'd you win, JT?
Yeah, a little stack yesterday, 7K, but a top 10. If you're in the top 10, you're competing for the top prize in these big tournaments. It's hard. It's not easy. And you get in there maybe a couple of times a month and you can have yourself a nice year. So it's been a good start to the season. We start off 2021 just like we had in 2020 with winning as much as we can. So exciting for a good slate. It's an interesting slate, a lot of decisions. And I was told it was going to be me, Big T, and Hoop. Imagine my joy, as much as I love Hoop, at seeing Travis. I hope we get Travis today.
Oh, you got Travis. You got going. You got Travis here for sure. Ready to rock. Yeah, Hoop, he is doing the PGA show tonight. If you guys don't know, PGA is back. We're excited. The PGA product has been absolute fire. I'm giving out some core plays, AP, Hoop, all the people. We got tons of core plays over there, over here at Run Pure Sports. So check that out. And they're doing a show. It's going to be Hoop. It's going to be AP and Uncle T. So you get all your Big T, Uncle T, you get all the T's today. So excited about that. Check that out around 8:30. They're going to be doing that show over here on the YouTube channel. And if you want to get a notification for when we go live, hit that subscribe button and it'll notify you. So please do that. We would appreciate it a ton. Big T, so you did the playbook, right? Give me your overall overview of this slate. I know you love a nice little 5-gamer. It's not too much. It's not too little. This is the sweet spot for Big T. So break it down for me, man.
Oh, I love 5-gamers. I think it's got to be my favorite number. I mean, it's just not too much, not too little. It's just a good number, and it's still a slate where you can fade 1 or 2 of the games. There's just 2 or 3 games that really stick off the page to me. There's a bunch of cheap options. There's a bunch of stud options. It literally has everything you could want in a slate, and there's even some chalk I think you might be able to pivot off of a little bit. So for me, it's the sweet spot. I know some people love the huge slates. I don't like the huge slates as much as other people. I like these 5-gamers. It gets me more back to my roots of some game theory stuff, and I like that.
See, I like the chaos. Anything that's crazy, I want. So I want all the news flying in. I love the chaos. That is some of my favorite slates, the ones that I feel like I thrive pretty well in. JT, let's get your breakdown. You said this slate, has a lot of decisions to be made, so I'm excited to hear. Give me a quick breakdown before we dive into the first game.
Yeah, I think there is some chaos here that you're going to see because there's a bunch of news that hasn't come out yet. You've got the Clippers on the front end of a back-to-back. There's news about LaMarcus Aldridge, whether or not he's going to play. The Grizzlies have been talking about starting Bane, and their starters haven't been announced. Josh Okogie is out for Minnesota. We don't know who's going to start for them. So there's going to be, I think there's a lot of people who are going to go all in or heavy on this first game because it does look juicy. It's Brooklyn. Brooklyn doesn't play defense. Utah on the road doesn't historically play as well defensively, but the pricing there is really tough. And I think in order for that game to really pay off, it's got to shoot out. And I think that's where the decisions are going to be made. It's whether or not you're going to stick with that game like the rest of the field, or take some of these pivots later on that I think are really interesting. A couple of really good price points in some of these later games.
Yep, I love it. I can't wait to talk and break down this game for you. But JT, what are we right now? I'm real hurtful, man. I mean, there are 287 people in the channel right now watching us, and we appreciate you guys, but we only got 39 likes, JT. Is this hurtful or what?
I mean, it is, and they can correct that. There's still time to click the like button. Slapshot Mo is in there. I need to see a like from him. I know that you guys have become real close, and I think that's really sweet. So need to get some likes here.
Yeah, we definitely got to get some likes in there, but we're going to break it down. And then once we break down this game, we'll go back and look, and then we'll see maybe what the likes are looking like, and we'll give away some swag for sure. Send Big T to FedEx. Let's talk about this first game, right? And it's on an island. It's at 7:30, so it's the first game. And obviously you don't have to have too many games locked in. It's only going to be one. So you can obviously put some guys in and then make decisions later on. Then you got an 8 o'clock game. You got a 9 o'clock, a 10, and a 10:30. So it's like, you got all these games locking at different times. So that'll be a lot of fun. Definitely some strategy that can go along with that. First game up, Jazz, Nets. Big T, I'm going to head on to you first. You're the Kyrie Irving guy, and it's Kyrie Irving's world, and we are living in it today, man. He is going to just be chucking it up. Is he a lock for you? Is Karis LeVert the guy? How are you handling all of this Nets usage with KD out?
Yeah, this is why it's such a good slate, because I mean, the spread's only 4 in this game, but I really feel like it could blow out Utah's way. I don't know. There's a lot of shaky pieces in this Brooklyn team, and I do love LeVert. I do love Kyrie, but man, if this game gets out of hand, you're going to see a lot of chalk. As a tournament player, me and JT primarily tournament players, you could see a lot of chalk go down in flames early in the slate if this game blows out, which we've seen all year. And on top of it, you have some really saucy games later in the slate, especially if news breaks our way and say Kawhi sits or whatever. You never know in the COVID day. Anyone could sit in the later games and something open up in the later spots. So I think I'll be lower on this game than the field. But that being said, obviously you have to take note that KD's out. Kyrie, huge usage boost. LeVert, huge usage boost. TLC always is going to pop in this spot because he can score the ball. Although everyone remembers that spot he went off a week ago or whatever it was. That was without Kyrie too. So Kyrie is going to eat up a little bit of those shots that he got. So he could even be a little bit of bad chalk to me. Again, I know why these guys are chalky. I'm sure when you check out our cash sheet over on Run Pure, the one Hoop and Mangone do, you're going to see a lot of these plays as some of the best plays on the slate for good reason. I think I'm a little bit lower than the field on all of these guys. I like the Utah side more for sure with even Gobert. I don't ever like Gobert. I do like him against teams with natural centers, though, like DeAndre and Jared Allen. Both natural centers that let him play a little bit more of in his comfort zone. I don't want Rudy Gobert when he's got to guard the perimeter, play a bunch of guys that can stretch the floor and shoot. I want to play him when he can play true centers that are going to work inside on screen and rolls. He can defend that a lot better. So I like him, Mitchell, Conley. I think all those guys are in play. Again, I don't know. I like Utah more than Brooklyn, but I'm not going to force this game in with the late games because even if the news doesn't break our way, this Denver game, I mean, there's so many pieces you can play. The late game, I think there's tons and tons of pieces you can play in that game. So I'm not scared to force pieces in those games if I have to.
Yeah, about a couple of things you mentioned there, Tony, I want to talk about. One thing I like about Kyrie here is he gets that Jazz matchup where typically, again, Rudy Gobert's in there. It's harder to finish at the rim. And when it is harder to finish at the rim, guys just kind of yield to like a Kyrie Irving just trying to get a bucket, right? The clock goes down, they play tough defense, and he has to chuck up a ton of shots. So obviously the usage is going to be there. He is going to be popular. I do want to talk about Rudy Gobert. I still think he's too cheap, even at 7.7K. And I like what you said about this matchup against the true centers. But one thing I read in the offseason that they kind of talked about with Rudy was he basically said, like, I wasn't good at handling the ball in the paint. He said he's kind of figured out how to, like, move around the rim a little better, how to, like, he basically said he got bigger, so he's able to hold onto the ball. Used to be able to double team Rudy Gobert, and he wasn't able to pass out. He wasn't able to go up with the ball, but now he has more confidence. They said he's gotten stronger. So that's something that I kind of took note of. And Rudy's been really good, man, if you've looked at the numbers. I'm not saying Rudy's a guy you're going to win a title with, right? Like that one guy was trolling the one day about saying a top 5 player, but this is the perfect matchup for him. And 7.7K, don't sleep on him. I think he's a safe option that has a lot of upside as well. JT, I want to head on over to you and talk about this Nets team because the Brooklyn Nets, they're a strong team today. You got TLC in there at 3.7K, who's a great value. Taurean Prince, 3.3K. He allows you to get all the studs. So how are you handling these cheap values along with the usage monsters, Karis LeVert and Kyrie Irving?
Yeah, I think on this team, it's interesting because I was looking for value throughout this slate, and I saw Prince I played Prince, I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe it was last week against Memphis. Torian needs like 34 minutes to hit value, no matter his price. It's like he could be 2,000, and if he gets 18 minutes, he's not going to hit it. He's in a good spot tonight. He's going to get at least 24 minutes. But what they've been doing, and I look back at that Memphis game, and what stood out to me in that Memphis game, again, Kyrie was out, but let's focus on the minutes from Durant, is DeAndre Jordan got 30 minutes in that Memphis game. And when you look at his price, which is 4-4, if I'm looking for a punt on this Nets team that nobody's going to play, it's probably going to be DeAndre Jordan. Vegas on the prop side doesn't love this game as much either. These props are pretty low or right in line with these guys' prices. So I think TLC certainly, perhaps if you want to go deeper than that, Jeff Green. But Jordan is one guy that sticks out to me, especially if Rudy can get Jared Allen into foul trouble. You may see 25, 28 minutes of Jordan at 4.4K. On the other side of this, yeah. I mean, Rudy Gobert is about as uninteresting a roster as you can get, but he's been dependable. He's given you 40 points almost every game this year, and this is a matchup that centers for 3 years now have just destroyed the Nets. It doesn't matter who they put there, and I think you're right. I expected to see him 8-3, 8-4, make it a little bit harder decision, but 7-7, I think that's the one piece in this game that if I'm building 3 lineups, he may go in all 3.
Yeah, I think it's a great call. I love obviously getting some exposure to him. He's definitely going to be a really good option. Any interest in some of these bench guys? Big T, I'll ask you this one. Jordan Clarkson, so he could be an interesting guy in terms we know he can get hot. And this Nets team, I'm not worried about them on defense. If you look, when you take KD off the court, they are going to struggle defensively, right? A lot of more buckets are going to be scored. You got guys like, Landry Shamet. He's been known as kind of maybe being a decent defender, but I'm not too worried about him. All these guys, maybe even Chris Chiozza is going to get some time. Jordan Clarkson could really eat up this second unit. How are you handling a guy like him in tournaments? Could he be an interesting pivot?
Man, so the problem I have with him is, NBA is just so based on price that, when he's 52, 5,300, I think TK and FanDuel, both prices, I just don't think there's upside built into that. I don't know. There's just too many guys with Conley in there, Donovan Mitchell in there ahead of him. He's only going to play. What's the most minutes he's played? He's played, 25 is the most he's played all season, it looks like. Maybe I'm wrong, but somewhere he just doesn't have a big ceilings cap. And I just don't think there's upside built into that price point. I do like him, but it's the type of guy, like if he was 4,600 or 4,500, I would think there'd be a lot more upside built in. At 52, you need him to get in the 30s for the most part. I just don't think he has that in him. If he gets hot, sure, he could do it, but I just think he's a little too expensive. I like Gobert, too, as JT was talking him up. I don't know if he has upside either, though. Like, the more I look at him, we do need guys that have a good floor. You look, 46, 43, 41, 40, 38. He's kind of like how yesterday's show we talked about Lowry, Van Vliet, guys like that, and Van Vliet did go off, so that could be a sign for Gobert tonight. But these just high floor guys are great plays because you can take chances on other spots to get you your upside. Lock in the high floor. Maybe they don't have a huge ceiling, but if you get in the 40s from Gobert, that's just mint at 7,700. So I like it a lot.
And also, it depends real quick, JD, it depends what contest you're playing too, right? Like, you could be playing some higher stakes stuff and like avoiding these duds is big right now. Like, this is a different NBA we're in, it feels like. So I think that's worth mentioning that some of these safer floor guys, like they're definitely a little nicer to kind of get into your lineups. JT, what were you going to say there? Yeah, no, just on that point with Gobert, the floor is there and people do hate to play him. I was looking at projections that show him maybe 18, 20% owned. I think he comes in higher, but because people are saying, I don't like Rudy, I want to find someone that's going to do a little more than that. Yeah, you can put him in, and then you can find maybe one of the lower price Nets, and then you can move on to the late game. So I think that's one way to go tonight. Yeah, and we got not a question in the chat, but people kind of talking about it. And it's kind of similar to my thought process, right? Like, I think that the guards could struggle on defense here against Utah. Guards could really eat up the Nets guards here, right? What about Mike Conley? You guys talk about ceilings. He has 2 games this year where he had 50 fantasy points, right? He's got one game where he put up 20 shots against the Clippers. Big T, is that another guy you can get behind? Because again, I think there's some nice opportunity here with the Nets defense just being terrible.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about NBA is you can kind of match these guys up and say, if this game does stay close and it shoots out, which I think it will shoot out if it does stay close. So Conley goes well with Kyrie and these guys the other way. He definitely has upside. I don't think I would play him and Mitchell together. They don't correlate very good, I don't think, because one of them needs to take that lead dog role and take that scoring role on. Again, that's just off the top of my head. I could be wrong. I mean, maybe they correlate a little better, but I mean, you look at the 2 games he went off, Mitchell definitely didn't. Mitchell really hasn't hit a ceiling all year, so I think Mitchell will be higher owned. Maybe the pivot is just to go with Conley over Mitchell for 500 less. What's the price difference on FanDuel? 78 and 7K. So yeah, you got a decent discount on both to play Conley over Mitchell, and Conley's just been better on the season so far.
Yeah, and I mean, the other thing to look at too is like you talked about Mitchell having some ownership. Well, Kyrie's there, D'Angelo Russell, Karis LeVert, like there's a lot of good guards on this slate, and there's some decent value ones too. So you can't play all of the guards, right? And there's also centers where, like on DK, you want to play 2 centers at times, right? There's definitely a lot of moments where you want to do that in your second utility slot, and then that gets rid of another guard. So I thought that was worth mentioning. Any final thoughts on this game, JT, or do you want to move on to the next one?
No, I mean, I think that's right. On Conley and Mitchell, this year, small sample, but no, they haven't correlated. When one of them has gone off, the other one has either done really poorly or kind of hit that lower floor level. So Conley's a good call because Kyrie doesn't, he's really not interested in playing defense, and he has been very good this year.
All right, let's move on to the Lakers and the Grizzlies. And man, the Lakers are definitely not the most fun to roster right now with Anthony Davis and LeBron soaking up so much of the usage. Dennis Schroeder also in there. Just feel like they all eat into each other, but the price is not bad on Anthony Davis at 9.5K today. It's definitely getting lower and lower there on him. And then on the other side, we got the beat up Memphis Grizzlies where there's going to be some opportunity here. I mean, Kyle Anderson has definitely stepped up. Dylan Brooks has seen a really nice usage. A lot of different ways to go with some of these guys. Big T, kick it off for us first. What are you doing with this 218 total?
Yeah, I always like Lakers games because I just fade them. I mean, they might not get a ton of usage or I mean ownership, which they're always going to get some though. I mean, right now, what are these guys projected? Like LeBron and AD, maybe they soak up 30% total between the two of them. 20 and 10, 15 and 15, whatever it is. They're always going to get some usage. I keep calling it usage, freaking ownership. I don't know why I keep saying usage, but ownership, they're going to soak up 30% ownership. I don't want to play them over guys on this slate that are in, even Kyrie. Like I wouldn't play these guys over Kyrie for more. So I don't see it. I mean, I'm definitely playing Jokic over these guys too. It just doesn't fit my build. I like when they're on the slate because they steal some ownership from the other guys. I'm never doing it really. I mean, I'm sure there's some slate throughout the year where it'll be a big game and I'll go back to it. But these guys don't care, and they soak up usage. They're coming off the title. I just literally have no interest in the Lakers, even remotely. And then they're so good that the other team really never gives me a ton of interest either. I mean, you look at these guys. I mean, people are going to play like Desmond Bane at 4,200. Really? Like against the Lakers? Why is he in play, Mangone?
Well, he's in play because Contra's out, right? And he was a guy that was kind of running some of that backup minutes. And he's just going to soak up a ton of usage. And I guess another case you can make is like, you can argue that Memphis has a good chance of getting blown out by the Lakers, right? And if that's the case, I think a guy like Bane is going to get a lot more run, right? Like, again, we're not saying we shouldn't try and predict blowouts, but we've been seeing them more. So I think it's more likely that it could happen than it has in the past. So I don't hate it. I think if you need that value, it's okay. But I personally think paying up at guard right now is probably the better way to go. But I maybe because you're looking at the cash chart sheet, one thing I like to do in the cash chart sheet when I do is I like to give options at like a lot of different tiers that I think are in play, right? And I do think he is in play if you want to go to that cheaper route. I think he's one of those cheap guys that you can go to at guard, but I do think paying up at guard today is going to be the quote unquote optimal way where you can make the case in tournaments. Then maybe paying down at guard could be better, or paying down to a Conley, like who we just mentioned, which isn't all the way down, but he's at like 7K. It's just going to be a way to be a little bit different.
So the dude in chat, I always like to interact with the chat. you got to play AD on FanDuel. Why do I have to play him on FanDuel? He's going to be popular on FanDuel because of how ugly it is. I have no problem fading him on FanDuel. I like some cheap plays on FanDuel. I mean, Jermichael Green, you got Hernan Gomez, who I like tonight. You got some cheap dudes, which gets you on a completely different roster construction. If AD gets in the 40s, but my cheap guys get in the 20s, like, I will take my chances every single day of the week to beat those teams with AD in the 40s. So I'm fine fading it. Sure, he's going to be popular. Yeah, FanDuel sucks, but I mean, I'm not going to play AD.
That's for sure. We got someone in the chat. They said, Steve Anthony, he said Melton will get minutes too. Baines feels like a trap. Well, I'm curious to see how many he gets because Melton had COVID, right? So, and he didn't play the first game back. So I don't know what his minutes are going to be. Definitely something to monitor and look at. Stay tuned for the news.
I think Bain is a terrible play, but that's just me. Like I couldn't even. He should be like 3,400 or something. He's 4,200. That's not even that cheap for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely up more than where it is. And obviously Melton, that matters. Like if Melton ends up playing, that can hurt him a ton. JT, how about you? I'm kind of in the camp of Big T. Like I don't like playing Lakers games that much. I look at some values here and there, but I try not to load up on it too much. How about you? Is this a game you're excited about with the 218 total, or is it a fade?
No, it's really difficult to see Memphis competing here. I don't know who for them could have a big enough game. Especially, I mean, we expect LeBron's going to play, right? This questionable stuff is just his normal attention-seeking behavior. So Bain, though, was one of those guys who there was some speculation that they might start him, that they might actually move him up to the starting lineup, which would make me a little bit more interested in him if I needed a punt. But Travis, I think you're right. I think tonight the guard options at the higher price points are the way to go. So the only guy that I looked at from this game that remotely interested me was Brandon Clark a little bit, just because he's too cheap. He's coming off a kind of a crap game, and he's probably going to play 30 minutes, but I don't know that I'll get to him.
Yeah, and I mean, this is one reason I love doing these shows and talking with you guys. Like, sometimes I can change my opinions on things. And like, I have Lou Williams on the cash sheet because I think Lou Williams is a pretty decent play. Obviously, some of Kawhi being in or out could matter. We talked about that a little earlier. The reason why Kawhi could miss is because it's the first night of a back-to-back. So I think if I had to pick, I'm going to play like Williams over Bain. So I'm just going to take him off now the sheet. And kind of move on from there. Because I do think, I think it's a pay up at guard day. I think it's better to do that, at least right now, unless the slate somehow changes. But I think that is the most optimal route to go with the current news that we have.
I mean, if just say Kawhi is out, like Lou Williams and Pat Bev for that matter.
Oh, yeah.
Are just so cheap. And granted, I do feel like Lou Williams, he's hurt my feelings this year a little. I just don't think the coaching staff likes him as much as previous years or whatever. He's not getting a ton of minutes, but I mean, he's at the point, if you give him even 20 minutes at that price, he is just so cheap that, I mean, he's the same price as Bain. Like, how could you play Bain over Lou? Even if Kawhi is in, I don't think I can do it.
No, I think you're right for sure. So definitely, again, like that's why I love doing these shows, talking it out and everything. And that's a perfect segue. Let's talk about that game because this is definitely a good one and one that people might not think is that interesting. Game starts. Actually, no, sorry, I skipped the game. We'll go to your Nuggets, Big T. Minnesota and the Nuggets, 226 total here. And Big T, we'll go to you first. Jokic has been on fire this year, absolutely crushing it. Michael Porter Jr. is still currently out, right? And that usage has been funneled to Jokic getting a ton more. It's been funneled to Will Barton. I'm sure you've had a really close eye on this Nuggets team, Big T. I'm sure you watched it a ton. Am I correct with that? Or are there other guys that should be seeing some better opportunities that I'm missing on?
I mean, so first of all, coming into the year, the two teams that I thought would give us the best fantasy environments, or two of the top five, are these two teams, Denver and Minnesota. Neither team's going to play D. Both teams are going to want to score points, run, gun, shoot, do their thing. It's just such a good environment. Obviously, the only risk is a blowout. They just played, yesterday or the day before? 120. What was it, yesterday? Is this a back-to-back?
No, there's no before? I don't think there's any back-to-backs today, I'm pretty sure.
So it was the day before. They just played 1 or 2 days ago. 124 to 109 was the score. There's just no way this game doesn't crush as long as it's not just a full-blown blowout. 5-game slate, I'm just going to take my chances. Denver has always been a team that plays down to their competition and up to their competition for the most part. I mean, Jokic, I've said it every show I've done this season. I know I'm a Jokic homer. I got my Jokic NBA Jam shirt on. The dude is incredible, though. He is going to crush. Literally, the only way he doesn't crush is if it's a blowout and he only plays 25 minutes or something crazy. And he'll still probably get you in the 40s. He's going to crush. He's just too good. And this team gives you, with MPJ out, you got guys like Barton, like you said, huge boost. JaMychal Green looked really good. I think he's only been back 2 games, but he's super cheap. Jamal Murray is probably too expensive for me, but he's got upside. And then it gets really interesting, like if you want to play a blowout card. I mean, I know I've talked about like Campazzo a ton. Again, we're tournament players. It's a 5-game slate. Campazzo the other night played – in this same matchup, played 21 minutes and had 29 fantasy points. Same matchup. They only won by 15 with MPJ out. 21 minutes. They've always wanted to get him in a little bit of a role. Again, he's risky. It's a tournament play. But 3,300. If he gets you 29 at 3,300 and he's 1% owned, that's how you win a tournament. Like that right there is how you win a tournament. It's a risky play. I don't know if I'd even play him on like one of my couple main teams, but if you're playing 10 or 20 teams, play a blowout card on one of these. Play PJ Dozier, Campazzo, run it back with some of these Minnesota guys and play the blowout card because they will crush. I promise you, if this game blows out, which it easily could, Campazzo is going to crush. It's a promise. If it's a blowout, you want Campazzo. Put it that way.
All right, JT, how about you? Big T sounds like he's talking crazy with Campazzo, but I don't think he's that crazy. But how are you?
He just had 29 in the same matchup. It can't be that crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely can. You know why? It's the Timberwolves are so bad on D, man. I mean,
bad.
They're a disaster without Cat. I mean, absolute disaster. JT, how are you handling it? Because like some of these Timberwolves plays are values, right? And if it blows out, is that good for these value plays? Is it bad? How do you want to handle this whole situation?
Yeah, this is one of those decision points, right? Because Jokic has been phenomenal, but he's also now close to 11K on a 5-game slate in a game where, again, similar to that Laker Memphis game, who on Minnesota is going to keep this close, right? I guess you could say Murray, not Murray. You could say D'Lo and Beasley, right? Beasley had a great game the other night. But Naz Reid hasn't looked nearly as good as he was last year. You got Ed Davis backing him up. Okogie, all those little guards really, those mid guards, the small forwards, they really just don't do enough normally to excite me. So, but I will say that, I think that, D'Angelo Russell, his price is interesting here. Again, he had a pretty good game the other night. And I think you play game script here. If you think this game stays close, then Jokic, Barton, and Murray are in play, and Beasley and Russell on the other side. And if you think it blows out, then I think you do look to those secondary guys like the JaMychal Greens, the Campazzos, Ed Davis on Minneapolis. I think you have to decide which way you're going to go on this game.
Yeah, and we got to get on the chat a little bit. Big T, I know you like doing that. He said, who's the other bald guy? Like, Big T, there's only one bald guy on the show, right? Like, I mean, there's got to be only one here. You're not bald. I'm not bald, correct?
I'm definitely not bald. People might think I am, but I am definitely not. I'm also not as sexy as JT, though. Look how good he looks.
He's unknown user, though. I mean, that really gives you all you need to know. Why are we talking to the unknown user? I mean, put some balls in there and put a name on it.
Yeah, put a name on it if you're going to come out Mr. 30K winner from the other day. JT, he goes on a cruise, hangs out with the lady, and then chips 30K. So, put a name on it, unknown user. Also want to mention, Big T, look at the chat right now. So we got 523 people and 162 likes. What's going on here? What's the number we're giving out swag?
JT's the original of saying how hurtful it is. I mean, if you got 525 watching and only 162 likes, it's just hurtful. I mean, we got to get through. We got rid of the dead weight, title and hoop. They're not on this show. Brought in the ringers, Mangone and JT to close the deal here. I always say it's got to be halfway. So we're at 525. We got to get to 250, 260 to get the gear. We'll definitely give out gear. Give us a like. Give us a subscribe. Easy peasy.
Yep, do that. We'll give it out at 250. We'll give out that gear for you guys. Also, keep an eye out on the NFL premium content that we have going on here at Run Pure Sports. Big T, I mean, we do showdowns, right? We got all the NFL content this weekend. It's going to be a busy one with 6 games. We got the Showdown hoodie. I got the Showdown hoodie on too as well.
Nice.
Big T, talk about some of the Showdown NFL content we're going to have in all the 3-game slates.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to do a show Saturday and Sunday morning. We're going to have the normal content, playbook, cores, everything. And then the nighttime Showdown slate will definitely have content for that. I mean, we're going to have you covered for all the NFL stuff. It's going to be good stuff, without a doubt.
Yeah, we'll have you covered on that. If you're in a sport where you or a state where you can bet on sports too, we'll have you covered with that over on the Run Pure Bet side. So check out that. The team has been on fire. AP has been crushing the NBA. I believe he's up like 19 units or something right now. Steve Anthony said the golf content's elite. Well, we got it all for you guys over here. So be sure to check out that premium stuff. Let's dive in. Let's talk about the next game.
I got to talk about. You didn't let me talk about Minnesota.
All right, talk about Minnesota.
Like Minnesota.
Break it down for me, Big T.
I think Minnesota plays them closer than. Oh, I'm going with that. So, like, obviously, if it's a blowout, I'm probably not going to win tonight. It's just the honest truth about it, because I like Minnesota. And these two Nuggets that have always got up to play them, Beasley and Hernan Gomez, they love these guys. Like, they were on the core group of these Nuggets, Jamal and Jokic and all these guys. Like, they love each other. And they're going to show up tonight like they always do, Beasley and Juancho. Juancho is 3,400. I will take him over all the other chalky, cheap guys. Like, I'll take him over TLC. I'll take him over all these other chalky, like Ed Davis is in this same game. I'll take him over Ed Davis. I do think Ed Davis is – I'm not saying he's a bad play, because I like him a little too, just because of the price tag. They need him to guard Jokic. I mean, you just have cheap dudes in this game, and I think Beasley has a big game at 6,300. That is cheap. I like him a lot. I just think this game's close. I think that Minnesota scores with them. Juancho, D'Lo, Beasley, Ed Davis. Those are kind of my guys. I don't want Naz Reid. I mean, Naz Reid's going to get in foul trouble against Jokic. I don't want any of these other bench guys, Rubio, Edwards. Really, it's just those four. The two Nuggets guys, Juancho and Beasley, and then D'Lo and Ed Davis. But I like it.
I like that take, to be honest. Do you remember last year when Beasley basically he got to Denver and he got on the court early and was getting shots up early? Because he was ready to rock, man. Like, if Big T's playing some slouch on the streets, he's not going to try as hard. But he sees Hooper, Titletown over there. Yeah. He's going to try and dunk on their head, man. He's going to do everything he can.
When I see Title lined up over there, I'm getting some shots up. I'm getting ready for him, no doubt.
Yeah, you'll be ready to rock for that.
What's he going to do when I rip my shirt off and show him the moves? Like, what's he going to do?
Are you showing the moves before or after?
No, after. It's going to embarrass him after. Like, I'm going to take a picture with my shirt off, just embarrassing him.
Standing over him.
Dropping him right on his shoulder. Like, it's going to be great stuff.
JT, you're on the side of Big T beats Titletown. I don't think we've gotten your take. So who do you think wins?
Better be.
Of course.
Yeah.
What else would I be? I mean, Title kind of gave himself away with his height, his size. He's like, I bulked up a little since high school. Yeah. I don't know if I love Title. Title's my guy. We spent so much time together during baseball season, and we'll do it again this year. But look, I don't see it. I see that the way I see Lakers Memphis. I mean, I'm sorry.
My favorite is when you posted the volleyball shot at Title, but it wasn't him playing volleyball. Right?
That was the best picture. I wish Simon had that picture right now to put up on the screen. Title playing volleyball.
Yeah, it wasn't even him, but it was like his college or his
people watching the show. I looked at Title's name, looked up his credentials. The only thing I could find was a freaking volleyball picture. Him down in there setting the ball. Like, that's how I pictured Title. I mean, Title's not a hooper. Title is one of the dudes that sits on the bench, gets you water during a timeout. Like, Title, I'm tired. Bring me a water. Like, that's what Title does.
Oh, man. By the way, Title's boy, Andy, I know this is his boy. He said Title is a killer on the court.
I mean, First of all, Andy strokes Title like nobody I've ever heard in my life. Every single show, he's in here like, Title's a hooper. Oh, Title's so good. Like, Andy, get off your knees. I mean, come on, Andy.
Yeah, Andy is on the workbench with Title right now, confirmed from Big T. He's got sources that are saying it. JT, give me your final takeaways on this Timberwolves game. Anything else to discuss, or you want to move on and talk about the Spurs and Clippers?
No, I think Big T's right. You play it to the game script that you think is going to happen, and live with it.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's a great way to do it, and a great way to be playing NBA.
Like, if you aren't playing Jokic and these guys, you're obviously thinking it's going to be a blowout. you have to play some of these cheap guys if you think it's going to be a blowout, because if they get fourth quarter run, like PJ Dozier and Campazzo, they're going to crush if it's a blowout. Like, I promise you they're going to crush.
Yep, for sure. Definitely agree with you on that. Let's go to the next game. We got Spurs, we got Clippers, 228.5 total. And I do want to talk about this game because this is a little bit of a sneaky game, I think. Obviously the Clippers, it's the first night of a back-to-back, so there is a chance Kawhi sits. It could happen. We'll see. Not saying it will, but hey, it's in the realm of possibility. So if you're backloaded a little bit, you can make some swaps. And hey, listen, you can swap to still some good players, right? You got the 9 o'clock game. You got Damian Lillard you can swap to. Nurkic, there's tons of good players. CJ McCollum was seeing great usage. So don't sleep on being able to get some exposure to some of this later games. But let's talk about the Spurs side first. They're missing, Derek White. That's pretty big. And this lineup is pretty good. DeRozan has been phenomenal this year. JT, I'm going to go to you first. Talk to me about the Spurs. Talk to me about the Clippers. How are you handling this game?
Yeah, I think obviously we're waiting for some news. We're waiting for the Aldridge. The Aldridge news is big because you're going to play DeRozan if Aldridge is out, right? I mean, you're going to look at DeRozan and probably play him. You might look at some of these other Spurs. I don't know if you'd play Murray at that price with some of the other guards on this slate. He's probably not a guy that I'm looking at. And then on the Clippers side, I like PG3, even if Kawhi is in. I like his price point. One of the things that I looked at, because I was trying to figure out, like you guys, first thing that jumped out to me on DraftKings was Lou Williams at 4.3. And I said, well, that's silly. But then I took a look and I saw he's been decent in the games where they've blowout wins, and he hasn't been quite as good in the games that are close. And I looked at the rotations, and it looks like PG3 is actually running that second unit. So Williams is coming in. He's not taking nearly as many shots in these close games. It's PG3. That's why he's got 3 games in a row with over 50 DK points, is because they played a couple of close games. So I think it's another one where you got to decide, all right, how is this game going to play out? It is the game is in Los Angeles, right? I think this game is in LA.
Yeah, game is in LA, 10 o'clock start.
So the game is in Los Angeles. The Clippers have been pretty good, but again, I think you're going to look at game script here and how is this game going to go. But I like PG3. I like DeRozan. Even if Aldridge is in, because there's some indication that this knee injury is a little bit more of a thing that might linger for Aldridge. But definitely if he's out, I think those are my 2 main guys here. And then, yeah, Pat Beverly is, potentially he gets some steals and do some of his defensive work here and get some points that way. At 4K, he is an interesting punt tonight.
Yeah, definitely think that Pat Beverly is a good punt. Obviously, it's better if we get the Kawhi news. That would matter. I was sitting here reading the chat. Everyone's saying that I'm talking fast. You must be the first time watching me. I mean, Big T, I talk fast on shows. It's hard to keep up. Sometimes
when you really get in a roll, I legitimately have to check my screen to make sure I don't have it on 3X.
Yeah, I would say, have you ever listened to me on 2X, Big T, on any type of show? Oh, it's
be able to hear it. It'd be like a rap album or something.
Yeah, it's a funny one to hear. So I'll try and slow down. I'll try and get that southern slow that JT's got, slow it down a bit. Not the easiest to do, but I was saying I'm from Jersey. We're all strictly business. We got places to go. We got people to see. We got things to do. So but I
was born and raised in Brooklyn. You can do it.
Well, I'll do my best, JT. But speaking of things to do, we know what you guys need to do. You got to hit the like, you got to hit the subscribe, and you got to go hang out with JSU and hold it after. We're going to be going up until, I think, 6:15, 6:30, somewhere around there. And then what we do is Big T, he'll give out his workbench play of the day, which you got to hang out for, get that winner in there. And then you got to go hang out with those guys, bringing up the lock. They're breaking down all the news. If any news breaks, they'll hit you with it right away. And you get JSU's core and JSU's winners. I mean, Big T, what is better than that?
JT's winners?
That's true. JT's winners have been on fire as well. So he might be JSU might have to watch out. JT might be in there,
JSU's definitely watching out. They were posting rankings in the chat earlier over in our Discord. People are coming for JSU.
Yeah, I mean, listen, JSU, I would not be coming at JSU. He will be out there on the court taking you down, Big T with a nice little game winner. So I was a part of the loss too. So, I mean, I get it. I missed the layup, whatever. We got people hating me in the chat about Chris Hogan too. So if you want to pile on Big T, now's the perfect
week
time.
1? I mean, the Chris Hogan week was a great week. You retired Chris Hogan. We may never see him again.
I know, right? No, I think it was week 3. That was the week that Tyler Lockett had the massive week. And my favorite thing about that is if I play Chris Hogan, I get Tyler Lockett, and I've just absolutely cashed. And I didn't even cash that week. So would have definitely been a fun time if I would have played some Chris Hogan. But what are you going to do? He got retired or he's on the IR. We'll see if he ends up making a team.
Cat is killing me here. That is good stuff, Joe Con.
Mangone and I talk about this in chat because that was the day that I locked in Tyler Lockett, and it was
That's what I'm saying. That's what JT does. He picks winners, Mangone.
Oh, he does. Remember when we were all sweating on the bet show, right? We were sweating your bet, JSU, and JT was down there like falling asleep, or I don't know if he was drinking too.
No, he was hammered. What do you mean? He was freaking obliterated. He didn't even know other people were sweating. He didn't even know it was a live show.
Yeah, he didn't know it was a live show. That's what it was. I couldn't remember. I knew.
I struck out, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't have him. And he's like, JSU does. I was like.
That was good times. We're sweating over on the bet side. They do live shows. If you guys haven't checked that out, go on to the Run Pure Bets YouTube and check it out. They sweat all the games. I'm sure they'll be sweating all the football games all weekend long. So be sure to check that out. JT, so you talked about Patrick Beverley. Let me bring it over to Big T. What do you think of all these guys in this game? You got Pat Bev, you got Lou Williams, who we talked about before, Serge Ibaka. Paul George's usage has been insane. They're staggering them on the court, him and Kawhi, which has been massive for him. And with all these spend up guards, I don't think anyone's playing Paul George. So sell me on some of these Clippers and some of these Spurs.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I mean, especially the two guys that just stick off the page are Lou and Pat Bev. I know that Pat Bev, let me pull him up real quick. So he hasn't quite shown a ceiling either this year. I mean, he's playing 28 minutes the last 2 games, and he's only got 18 and 12. So if you just look at his numbers, technically you're going to think like, I don't have that much upside, but he does have it in him. I mean, we've seen it. He can get steals, and he's just so cheap that if you guarantee me like 28 minutes again, which he usually gets, high 20s, I mean, the dude is 4K. That is just so cheap for a guy that can get you there in other areas. He's going to have a game where he hits 3 or 4 threes on top of it. It's just such a short sample. I mean, we're only 6, 7, 8 games into the year, however many it is now. I don't have it up in front of me. Not that many games into the season though. And these prices are so cheap for Sweet Lou and Pat Bev. Paul George has been incredible. I like him either way too. I think you can go here. We look at the Spurs like the same old slow team. I've heard you say this on other shows, Mangone, but they're not that same team. They like to run and gun a little bit with some of these young guys, and I like it. I mean, these guys are just way too cheap. If Kawhi is out, this is another reason I want to fade that first game, and the Lakers game's a fade too, is it buys us until 9 o'clock or that Nuggets game. Maybe we get more news by then. And if somehow Kawhi sits, I don't want to be the person that doesn't have pivots to get to Paul George, Lou, Bev, these guys. I still have nightmares from last week when this happened. No one thought Kawhi would sit. And, man, he gets announced out. Paul George becomes the best play on the slate. And I just didn't have a pivot to get to because I had too much locked up early. I don't want that to happen again. In worst case, it comes to worst and Kawhi plays. We don't get the ultimate nut value. You can still play these guys at these prices. Yeah, they're not total locks, but if Kawhi is out, I mean, how do you not play these 3 guys, Lou, Bev, and Paul George? They're just so freaking cheap. And then you look at the Spurs side, you got plenty of playable pieces here too. I mean, Lonnie Walker's been better than people think. Podol hasn't shown his upside. Let me pull him up here.
And Big T, let me just mention this. LaMarcus Aldridge is questionable, right? What if Aldridge is out, right? DDR.
I don't think he's going to play. Like I haven't thought he's going to play. I hope if he plays, that really messes things up for me a little. I don't think he's going to play.
Okay, and then Podol, you're just about to mention him. That's why I kind of mentioned it. Like that gives Podol a bump, and people will be wanting to play him, and he's a great player. He might be low owned.
I think Podol might be one of the better plays on the slate. I mean, obviously Aldridge has to be out. If Aldridge is in, then you can't play Podol. But if Aldridge is out, I mean, he's 4,800, which looks expensive. He's coming off a 25 against Utah. But this matchup is ripe for a guy like Podol. I think he could totally crush as long as Aldridge is out. And he's going to be low owned too, because people are going to lock up early spots in different spots. So center's always an issue because I always really like center. Obviously, I'm playing Jokic for the most part. So Podol's tough to get in there, but I think he can crush. I don't like DeRozan as much as other people will, just because the Clippers defend wings really, really well. I don't love that spot, but he still had a great year. He could get there easily.
Well, for sure. And I don't know if unknown user changed his name, but there's this new guy in the chat. I don't know who he is. Who's Mike Petta? Do you know Mike Petta, Big T? That's a name I don't know, but he says title gonna own Big T on the hardwood. What is that guy thinking?
I mean, I have no idea. Is that the same dude that didn't show up to the last time we had a basketball game? He just sat at home holding his friggin' thumb.
I mean, I don't know. It could be Hoop2410, but Mike Petta is an interesting username. I haven't heard that one. So, but yeah, that's old Hoop. He's on title side. JT, are you shocked by that? Because I was shocked to hear that Mr. Hoop was back in Titletown and not Big T.
Has he backed it with any money though? I haven't seen any money. Like, I haven't seen a backing. Like, where's the money that's on the line?
I don't know. I don't know who he's taking. I mean, I would assume he's slid into your DMs. Has he slid into?
No, because of course he's just talking. He's just chirping. There hasn't been any money put on the line.
All right. Well, we'll have to see if there's any money put on the line by him. Maybe I'll have to put it on with him. I'm not sure. I haven't
try. You should try to get some action, because it will be the easiest money you've ever made in your life.
I've heard some shady lines though. I mean, the whoever's booking these lines, I've heard like 10-1, 20-1.
Yeah. I mean, it's not 10-1. I mean, I could like roll an ankle or something and he'd have a chance. I mean, the only way is injury. Like, that's the only way, because I am fat. Like, that's just the truth. Way too fat, about 40 pounds over playing weight, really fat. But the only way he's beat me is injury. Like, that's literally the only way.
I will say, JT, so you don't know this. When we were at the party, and Big T had a great showing, but the team didn't. Big T went out and got milkshakes the night before. Like, if I'm back in Big T, I'm not letting the milkshake thing. He got milkshakes and pizza. Do you think that's a good thing to have before?
You got to tuck him in. Tuck him in the night before. Get him up in the morning. That's what you got to do. You got to walk him to the court. Yeah, the whole deal.
Give him a Gatorade in the morning, a breakfast sandwich, just something, just make sure he's, ready to go and not out there, pounding down milkshakes and pizza before and hitting the bar. So we'll have to see. But Mike Pettis says Bob's second account here. So maybe it's Bob's burner over there. JT, I don't know if you talk too much about the Spurs side of the ball. Talk about that for me while the people hit the like button and stop hurting JT's feelings for us so we can give away some swag at 250.
Yeah, on the Spurs side, I think, like I said, DeRozan, if Aldridge is out, I agree that Podol's a play, obviously. If Aldridge is ruled out. The one guy on the Clippers side that I didn't talk about that I like is Serge Ibaka. His minutes have been up and down, but in particular, if Aldridge is out, and we think he's going to be, then I like Ibaka at 5'6" tonight as a low-priced, probably low-owned center in this matchup where centers have done really well. And similarly, right, we're talking about Pat Beverly and Lou. Point guards have destroyed this Spurs team for several years now. It's been a great spot for opposing point guards. So I like Ibaka a lot. I find myself at the prices not having near as much interest in the Spurs side of this.
Okay, yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, obviously, if Aldridge is out, would that change it for you? So I love DeRozan in this spot. I know he's pricey, but is it enough still? I think that's the question I'm starting to ask. Is it the price too much, or do we still got meat on the bone here with DeRozan?
Well, I think if Aldridge is out, then definitely you look at him. He's smashed most of the time when he's been out. It's the other pieces like Keldon Johnson at 6'5". He's been great. But is he a 6'5" play on this slate, right? I think you've got Conley at 6'9". You've got I think Murray's a little bit more expensive tonight. So it just comes down to roster construction, and that's why I think you have to kind of take shots and leave some openings after that first game, because you do want to be able to put DeRozan in. You do want to be able to play PG. You do want to be able to play a guy like Ibaka and one of those lower price guards.
Yep, I'm with you on that. Makes a ton of sense. Big T, this was a game you liked a lot. Give me your final thoughts on this one, and then we'll move on to the next game.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. Obviously, we got to wait on a lot of news here. So I'm hoping we get most of the news by 9 because that's a pretty big decision point for me at 9, depending on how heavy I go with that Denver game. But yeah, tons of news. Pay attention for sure in the Discord. We'll have you covered over there. If you're not in our Discord, you're doing it wrong for sure because no matter how quick I get the news, Mangone, JT get the news, it's probably quicker in the Discord already by the time we get it. So definitely be in there.
Yeah, definitely. And then what happens is if you get news that Kawhi's in and you want to make a pivot, you can pivot to a guy like CJ McCollum in the next game, who has been absolutely phenomenal. Like, that's the thing. The news we talk about, it's important because you can take advantage. And if guys bust later, you're set up in a great spot. And this is a good spot for these Portland guys, right? They're playing against the Bulls. Talk about that. There are some spots on this slate where there's some bad defense being played, and the Bulls, they're playing some bad defense, definitely at a fast pace as well. We can take advantage of this. JT, I'm going to head on over to you first. Listen, I'm not a Damian Lillard guy. I don't roster him as much, but he is definitely, out there chucking it up. I don't think this is a game to go to him, but man, CJ's usage has been insane, and I'm kind of buying it. I know the price is up, and I think people are going to be worried about playing him. Is he a good tournament play? Is Nurkic going to start crushing because the Bulls don't have the greatest front court? What do you want to do with this Portland team here?
Yeah, I mean, Portland, this game is absolutely no defense is going to be played. Portland gives up a ton of points. I think they let every Clipper hit 7x when they played last week. But the Dame versus McCollum's been great. And it's been interesting because, especially at center, Terry Stotts is still kind of figuring it out, right? He's got Nurkic in there. He's playing Kanter 20 minutes. But Dame is going to have real soon one of those games where he just rolls down the court and just past half court, hoists it up, and it goes in every time. He hasn't had it yet. This is a great spot. I mean, this is as good a spot as there is in the NBA for an opposing long shooting point guard. And I am going to have some Dame tonight. I try not to over roster him because I'm just a fan of his game, his personality. But I think this is a spot where I'll play Dame over CJ.
Okay, interesting. Big T, how about you? I mean, Portland, Nurkic has been really frustrating this year. I'm curious to see if he could be an interesting tournament option to go to. They are a little banged up, right? Rodney Hood's not there. There's Covington. Covington's steals and blocks have not been the same. How are you handling this Portland team?
Yeah, I'm definitely choosing Dame over CJ always. I mean, CJ at 8,400 is just going to be a fade for me till the end of time. I know he's been amazing. He's been better than Dame so far in the season, but the prices, I mean, I can't pay 8,400 for CJ. I just can't do it. Like, I just refuse. Unless it was just a full game stack or something, there's no way I would play him over Dame. I agree with JT. Like, Dame's going to have one of these games where he comes out and him and Levine start running their mouths at each other and he starts hitting some bombs. It's going to happen at some point. It could easily be tonight. God, Nurkic, man. I used him as my workbench play the one day. He's just been terrible. I don't know whether he's not in shape right now, whether he just hasn't connected yet. He's another guy, though, that I do think one of these games is going to just go off for like 50 or 60. It could be tonight because the Bulls have no bigs. I mean, you look at their bigs, they're playing Thaddeus Young, Gafford. I mean, these dudes, there's no bigs. I mean, they just aren't going to be able to handle him in there. The issue is Kanter's been better than him, honestly. The chat's talking about Kanter. Kanter's been better than Nurkic so far. If you just watch this season, Kanter's been better, without a doubt. I don't think that'll hold up, but as of now, and he's eating the minutes too, so they're going to play 20-some minutes each, and it just eats into where Nurkic is probably too expensive, and also he plays center, which makes it tough to get to him. I don't know. Like, I'm looking at a guy like Gary Trent. I mean, he looks cheap to me at the same price as we were talking about with these other guards, like Lou, 41. I mean, on the 28th, he went for 37 fantasy points against the Lakers. He came back and played 32 minutes, only 11 fantasy points, but he was 1 for 6 in that game. I think he's another guy that you can throw in that tournament bucket, Gary Trent. I mean, 4,100, the same price as Lou and Bev, where if he's playing in the 30s against Chicago, he definitely has upside at that price point. He just does, and he's going to be low owned. So I don't mind him. And then the Bulls side, I really like these guards always, Levine and Kobe. It's going to be a matchup where you got two good guards against two good guards. It'll be a fun watch too, especially in the late game, to where, I mean, I think it's going to be a showcase with these guys going back and forth at each other a little bit. I'm interested most, though, with these cheap guys for the Bulls. You got Denzel Valentine. How many games has he played this year? Let me see.
I don't think he's played too many. I mean, you got Thad Young, obviously. He's another cheap guy I'm sure you're going to mention. Pat Williams.
I'm definitely not going to mention Thad Young because I refuse to play Thad Young ever.
He's still cheap, though. I mean, what about on FanDuel? Would you play him there? Or even Otto Porter? Otto Porter's another one. He's pretty cheap over on FanDuel. And you say you like playing over there. I mean, he's interesting as a cheap option, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not playing Thad Young anywhere because – I mean, 41 is cheap, but man, he's just not a workbench play. He's going to get you like 20, and he's just, I don't want to play him. I mean, Otto Porter, at least he got 50 one night, 57. I mean, 30 other games. I like Otto. I wish that he was getting more of a boost. I mean, 5,300 on FanDuel is definitely in play for him without a doubt, but I don't know, like Gafford. So I talked about the Nurkic and Kanter thing. Who are the Bulls going to play at big? I mean, we got Wendell, Gafford, and Thad Young are really the only bigs, right? Am I missing someone?
Yeah, no. I mean, that's for the most part, most of the guys that they have there, I think.
I mean, they just don't have bigs. So I think a guy like Gafford is going to have to step into a role. He's super cheap at 3,300. Again, I like to give some different guys that people can play in tournaments. I think Gafford could be a completely unowned guy that could get a boost going against the bigs. I mean, he has to be out there. If he doesn't get in foul trouble, I could see him getting in the 20s for 3,300.
Yeah, JT, so let me talk about Otto Porter. And so Otto Porter, to me, he's like the setup to get on the workbench, right? He's like the cruise, right? You know, you got to go on that little cruise, the sunset cruise to get there, right? He helps get you to the workbench Jokic kind of plays, JT. So what do you think of Mr. Otto Porter over on FanDuel? He's a little pricey on DK and some of these other cheap value plays on the Bulls, because I think these could be some of the routes that get you to those workbench plays, JT.
Yeah, FanDuel definitely at that low 5K price. On DraftKings at 6.4, that's a little tough. That's a little tough because I need a lot more at that price, and I think there's some other plays there. I agree. You could play Gafford at 3.3. Wendell Carter Jr. is only 5'7", and you know Portland's a team that doesn't defend anybody well, but in particular the center. I agree with the assessment Tony made about Gary Trent, though. He played 30 minutes. This is a guy who they're looking to run the second unit. That's how he finished the season last year. And there's no one to defend him on the Bulls' second unit. There wouldn't be anybody to defend him on the first unit. And then when you're talking about Nurkic and Kanter, your logical mind would say, well, I'm staying away from that situation because it's a 2020. You're not going to see that Nurkic ceiling game come because one of these days he's going to figure it out. He's going to get upset that Kanter is playing more minutes than him. Maybe it's because he had a good game last game. I don't know. And Stotts is going to leave him in because Stotts is trying to get him to figure it out. So I don't know if that's tonight, but certainly no one's going to own him. So I think if you want to pair, you want to run him and Trent and Dame together and run it back with maybe Kobe White and one of those cheaper Bulls guys, a Pat Williams or even Gafford. Then you've got a stack that no one is going to have that has a reasonable likelihood of paying off.
You know, I think that makes a ton of sense. Guys, you're 8 likes away from getting the free swag that we'll give away from the chat. So all we need to do is get 8 likes. Once we hit 250, we'll give away some swag. And then if we can get a little more, maybe we'll give away a little more swag. I do want to mention the Monkey Knife Fight promo that we have going on here. Guys, use the code RunPure over at Monkey Knife Fight to match up to $50. All you got to do is head on over there and do that. You get $100 into your account. Then head on over to the Run Pure Sports Discord. Once you sign up, get in on the Discord and get the winners. There's tons of good plays being given out. Hoop's been giving winners. Titletown. Snyder gave a little touchdown dance away for the 431 that hit. Tons of great plays being given away over at Monkey Knife Fight and being given away in our Discord chat. So do that and then tweet us a screenshot of your win. Use the hashtag RPSMKF. Again, the hashtag is RPSMKF, and we'll be giving away 2 shirts. So yeah, all you got to do is do that. And hey, we got over the mark to give away some swag. So JT, you're on the show here. First time doing an NBA show. How about you pick a winner from the chat to give away some swag to?
Absolutely. I'd love to do that. Let's see. Who's been active and respectful? I mean, let's look for who's been active and respectful.
Make a scroll. And I'm going to mention the butter ass is Monkey Knife Fight playable in New Jersey. It's not. It's some states it is, some states it's not. So it might not, pertain to your state. But if you're able to jump on it, man, because again, the winners are being given out in the chat, and people have been crushing it. So JT, who's our respectful guy in the chat that we're giving it out to?
I think I picked MC Dusty before. I think I've given him something. MC Dusty asked.
Yeah, and freaking MC Dusty lives in Canada, and it's impossible to ship it there.
No.
So MC Dusty's my boy. He's not getting any more gear.
All right.
It is expensive to send things to Canada. I love MC Dusty.
He said I'm always respectful.
Let's go with Joe Con 123, as long as he promises not to roster Luke Cornett. Because he mentioned him.
You picked the two guys that Joe Con's been waiting on his gear for like 3 weeks. He always reminds me. He's got gear coming already. Pick a third winner.
All right. How about Paul Label? He wanted me to pick up the guitar. It's in there. I bought this guitar 3 years ago.
Go get it for a second. Let's see it. Go get it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see it.
We got some time. Go grab it. Yeah. Grab the guitar. We got a little pug in the background too. You got a lot of stuff on.
Yeah. That's my dog. We got a little cutout for at SunTrust Park. We couldn't go to any games.
Look at that thing. That looks good.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know how to play a fucking note. I don't know how to play anything on this thing. So I bought it and I was like, I'll learn it. And now I know you guys used to sing songs to each other at Roto Grinders. So by the end of NBA season, I'm going to try and learn enough so I can sing you guys a song.
Getting me excited now. Can it be about winning all the giblets?
It better be. Otherwise, I won't be on these shows. So it'll be somebody else.
Wow, you got some hats behind you too. Is that like a fedora back there? What are those little hats on there? You got tons of different gear you can put on.
Yeah, we bought that in Key West. It was a long day.
Man, it sounds like you had a good time on that cruise. Now, Big T, we're going to head on over to you here. You got to tell us the workbench play, man. And you got to tell us, there's a guy in the chat. He said it's the first time he's here. I think his name was Joe Chamber or John Chamber. I forget the name, but he said, this is my first time here. What is the workbench? So tell him what the workbench is and tell us the workbench play of the day, man.
Before we get that, I mean, the chat wants to know why JT's room is pink. And I'm curious. I think it's the lighting. But we got to get the man some lighting. If it's
the lighting. I was listen, when we did these shows during MLB season, right? It was daylight. I had lots of sun. It was beautiful. It was everything, right? Now, I just was ill prepared. Tony sends me a message yesterday. I said, "Oh, I'd love to do some NBA shows. I'd love to do some NBA content." And poor Puma before the show, he's like, "Where's your headset? Where's your mic? Where's this?" I said, I got nothing. It's just me. So we're going to fix it all. We're going to make it look nice. It's not going to be pink. I'm not in the red light district, Jay Reed.
I saw that one earlier, too, the red light.
Yeah, I've seen that. And I'll remember that, Jay Reed. You're going to slide in my DMs asking me who to play 5 minutes before login. I'm going to remind you of how hurtful you were to say that it's the red light district. But I will answer the question regardless. So anyway, we'll get there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, JT, you'll show up. It'll be 7 o'clock, and he'll send it at 6:55, and 7:01 will be like, I just saw the message, Jay Reed. My bad. I was blinded by the red.
Sorry, buddy. Hate to see it.
All right, Big T, give us the work. Tell people what the workbench is and the workbench play of the day, man.
Someone described it pretty good up top. I don't know where the comment is now because chat's been so active, but yeah, the truth of the matter is, you get the job done in the contest, you win the money, then you bring the ladies back to the workbench. That's what the workbench comes in. Now we got the workbench play because if you get a good play, that's what leads to all this. So workbench play of the day. And I first of all, the graphic that Simon put up there is just hilarious. Great graphic. Love to see it. We got JT and Mangone peeping through, trying to get a little visual of Big T getting the job done in there. You like to see it. I'll put on a good show for you guys.
A little voyeurism. Me and Mangone.
Yeah, I mean,
what's going on? We want the winners, man. We want to get the winner here. I mean, we need it from Big T.
We got trapezes coming off the ceiling. I'll put on a good show for you guys. You guys will. Yeah, it'll probably only be about a 5-minute film, but you guys will enjoy it. It'll be good for that short time. Anyways, back to, I don't ever pick the easy guys too. Like, I don't want to just come on and say to take Jokic. I did the one day because I couldn't find a better play. But I'm going to go off the board tonight. I'm going to give you guys something deep for the workbench. Mr. Wancho, 3,400 going against his Nuggets. I think he gets 30-plus fantasy points, 10 X's for you. I'm digging deep. I'm not giving the easy plays on the workbench. I'm trying to hit a 10, not no 4s, 5s. I want a 10 on the bench. Give me Wancho, Mangone.
All right, Wancho's the workbench play of the day. JT, do you got a play? You want to give one out, or are we just closing on that one?
Yeah, I think a guy, we just talked about him a little bit, and I do. I think whether or not that Blazers game stays close or not, Gary Trent's going to get 30 minutes with no defense. He had a bad shooting night the other night. We've seen this guy run around the court late night games and like, oh my God, here he is, another three. I think he's 41. He might be 41 on DK, at least when I looked earlier. I think he gets you at least 28 tonight. I think he goes 7X, and he's a beautiful little cheapie where you don't have to play TLC or Prince or go to one of the Memphis guys. You get completely off the board and be different.
Right. Listen, I can't go to like a high guy, right? I got to go to a cheap one too. I can't sit here and just go. So this is what I'm going to do. And it's going to be a callback. I remember I saw someone saying in the chat the other day, like, Mangone's led me right since he gave out Paul Millsap. I got made fun of on this one show. I gave out Paul Millsap. Everyone said it was the worst thing in the world. And it gave out got like 40 fantasy points from him when he was in the bubble. So I'm going to go back to Mr. Paul Millsap.
No.
Yeah, I'm going there. And you know what?
You're going to have a dry bench tonight.
No, listen, I got made fun for it.
I mean, if you why not big Rudy Gobert?
Because I can't go up high, man. I got to go low with you guys. I can't go up to a high price guy.
Hey,
so
go.
Why don't you just take Gary Harris too?
3K. I'm at 4.
No, I'm going for a nice 4K guy. He's a good tournament play, man. It's against this terrible defense. It's okay. If you want to make fun of it, it's fine.
Michael Green's back now, too. Oh, Paul Millsap, such a bad play.
There's no Porter either. I'm okay with it. He's going to get the usage. It'll be fine. We'll have to see.
What usage?
What?
What usage?
He'll get some usage. When Porter's usage gets sprinkled around, it's fine. I got made fun of already once for it. I'm going to do it again.
David Graves in the chat just went limp.
Oh, everyone went lamp
no worries. I'm okay with
this. This is we got to call your segment the Hogan play of the day, because this is a Hogan play of the day.
Like I said, I got made fun of that guy before. It's okay.
I mean, we got everyone excited, giving out Wancho, giving out 4,100 dudes that get 28, and then you come back with dusty dudes.
We'll have to see. We'll see if he's dusty or not, Big T. If he's dusty, I'll take my L. You know, I can take an L, but I'm going to take it if he does well. I'm going to take my little victory lap. So I'll get some exposure to him. We'll see how
we got pink rooms and blue balls now. I mean, ending this show.
That's okay. It's perfectly fine. I'm cool with it. But that's going to wrap it up for us, guys.
Brandon in the chat just said, I just took my like back.
That's too good. Well, we got to get out of here, guys. Thanks a lot for joining us here on the NBA Hardwood Show. It was fun joining you, Big T. It was fun joining JT. For me, Mangone, JT, and Big T, we are out of here.